Hi, my name is Priscilla. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well and having an amazing day. I wanted to make a video really quickly because it's been a while since I've made a video. Had a lot of stuff going on, so kind of wanted to make a video now before I let more time go by. And so in this video, we're going to be taking a look at our client settings. And then we're also going to be deploying the client out to the machines on our network. So this is going to be continuing on with like the SCCM lab that we built or that we installed in our home lab. So if you made it to this process, awesome. Like if you have your lab set up, you have SCCM installed, you installed the site system roles, software update point, and the reporting services point. Now we're going to be, again, like we're going to install the client on our machines on our network. That way, we have that on there and then we could do more stuff later on, which would be pretty cool. So it's going to be a cool video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get right to it. All right, thanks.
All right, so we're in our SCCM server now. And before I get started, I wanted to go over something really quick. So here, you might notice that it says snapshot 1 next to SCCM server. That's because I actually went ahead and took a snapshot of all of the VMs in my lab. So that way I kind of had a checkpoint to go back to in case anytime during like reporting or trying stuff out, I make a mistake. I can go back to that snapshot and start over. So if we look at our VirtualBox manager here, you'll see all of our machines have that snapshot 1. So if we actually look at the snapshots here, you'll see I'm in the current state right now, but this is a snapshot that I took. So if at any point, once the machine's powered off, I wanted to restore this snapshot, I can do that. And again, it's just kind of a good way. So like that way, if you wanted to try something out or do some testing, you can take a snapshot of the current state of your VM where things are working okay. And that way you can test stuff out. And if you make a mistake, you have that checkpoint to go back to and start over. So pretty cool option there. Wanted to show you guys, but it's really easy to do as well. So if we go to our CCM server and your machine, you just have to click take snapshot, and it'll take a snapshot of the current state of your VM. So I just wanted to show you guys that really quick before jumping in. And so we are going to be taking a look at our client settings, and we'll be pushing out the client to the machines that we want to manage with ConfigMgr in our home lab. And so kind of just to show you here under assets and compliance, our devices. So here, you'll notice that we currently do not have the client installed on any of the machines in our lab. So we're going to go ahead and push the client out, and I'll show you what that looks like later on in the video. But before doing that, I'm going to actually go ahead and take a look at our client settings. So if we go to administration, client settings here, you'll see that we have default client settings. And so here, these are the settings that we have available to us by default. So if I wanted to take a look at that, just to show you what it looks like, you'll see we have different settings that we can configure here. And so there are several client settings that you can configure. Here, these default settings, like for your testing lab, you can change the default settings from here. I think more so like in a production environment, you would more so want to actually create custom client settings for groups of computers that you want to target to have more control over those settings. But in your testing lab, if you did want to make changes to these settings you have here by default, it's fine because it's not a production environment or anything like that. But kind of just to show you, there's a doc actually. So Microsoft has a doc that goes into further detail about what each of these settings are. If you wanted to read more on these settings, because they're actually pretty complex. So there's more to these settings than I thought initially when I was first learning about this. So if you're also new to this and you're kind of wanting to learn, or you're learning more about these client settings and how you can configure them and what they can do to the machines in your environment, this is a kind of a good starting point to get an idea of what each of these settings are, to get a better understanding of them. but I'll link that out in the description as well. But here, kind of jumping back into the default settings. So again, you can configure these settings from here if you wanted to, but kind of just to show you what it's like to create your own custom client settings, I'm going to go ahead and leave these settings as they are. And I'm actually going to go ahead, so I'll cancel out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and create a custom client device settings. You can also create custom client user settings. Here on these top left options, you can even click in this blank space here, and you have the same options. So I'm just actually going to select create custom client device settings. And so here we have our custom device settings. I'm going to go ahead and name this custom settings test. And then from here, we can select different settings that we want to configure. So I guess just to kind of show you as an example, I'll go ahead and select client policy. I'll do computer agent here. I'll also select hardware inventory, software center, software deployment, and software inventory. I'll also do software metering and software updates. And for these options here, I'm just going to kind of change the schedule from the default to be more aggressive, I guess. Since we are in our testing environment, we kind of can shorten the times that are set by default. And so here, the first one that we'll configure is the client policy. And so by default, we have the client policy polling interval to 60 minutes. So here, this is going to be how your client computers retrieve policy. And so I actually want to go ahead and change this to a shorter time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll do 10 minutes. And so again, like in our testing lab, this is fine to do because it's a very small lab. So it's not going to cause any kind of network issues or anything like that. For like a larger network or maybe like a production environment, that 60 minutes, like 30 or 60 minutes would probably be a better option because it'll help reduce like network traffic between the server and the client. But again, for testing purposes, this is okay. I'm going to leave these other settings at the default. Then moving on to our computer agent. Here in our computer agent, so this is going to be the general settings for communication between your server and client. I actually don't want to change anything here other than adding this organization name that gets displayed in Software Center. So I'll do learn IT. And then here we have use new Software Center. We're going to leave that at yes. And again, I'm not going to change anything else from here, so I'll leave that as it is. Moving on to our hardware inventory. So here, this is going to be the hardware inventory settings for your client computers. Essentially, it's going to be used to collect the information about the hardware configurations of client devices in your environment, or at least that's what I read on the docs. But here, we have it enabled by default. And then that inventory schedule is every 7 days. But again, I'm going to go ahead and shorten the time on that, and I'll do every 2 hours. Select OK here. I'm not going to change that. Our hardware inventory classes. So here, so this is actually pretty interesting. You can set different classes that you want to inventory. And so there are several options here. I am not too familiar with each of these options or what like enabling them or disabling them would do. I do know that you can do like asset intelligence reporting classes to get more information, like if you wanted to do different queries or stuff like that. I'm not going to actually change anything here because again, I don't know enough about it yet to actually, click and choose what I want. So I'm going to just leave this at the default, but I kind of just wanted to show you what that looked like in case you were curious. And also just like you do have the option to enable different inventory classes on here. So I'll cancel out of there. Yep. And then under our software center, so this is going to be, I'm going to select these new settings to specify company information. I'll select yes. Software center settings, I'll customize those. And so here we can do some like custom branding for our software center. So I'm going to go ahead and add the organization name. So learn IT. I can select the color scheme that I want. So I'm a fan of purple. So I'll select that. That's like purplish. Here we can select a logo for Software Center. So if you have a logo or anything you wanted to add in here, you can add that. I have my banner. It doesn't look too great when you add it in here, but kind of just to show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add that banner in there. All right, cool. So we got my banner added in here. And so this isn't the best looking, preview, but just kind of an idea of how you can customize this, your Software Center, once that client gets pushed out. But another thing I want to do here is I actually want to uncheck this box to hide installed applications in Software Center. And then also these tabs here, I'm not going to change any of the settings, just to show you what it looks like. If you wanted to select which tabs should be visible in Software Center, you can configure that here. Our defaults to specify the default view in Software Center, you can also change, but I'm just going to leave it default. So I'll select OK here. And then moving on to our software deployment. So this is going to be how clients deploy software. And so I'm going to go ahead and actually change this again. So I'll do a shorter time, simple schedule. So every 2 hours. Software inventory. So this is going to be how your client computers retrieve software inventory. Or basically, it can be used to collect information about files on your client devices. So here we have it enabled by default. I want to go ahead and actually shorten that time. So I'll do every 2 hours. Then that inventory reporting detail will get full details. Then here under inventory, these file types, you can actually specify the file types that you want to inventory. And so if you click the star icon here, we can add the file name that we want to inventory. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and I'll do wildcard executable. So I want to inventory our executables. I also want to inventory that size. And I'll select log files as well. So again, like you can definitely add different file types in here. If you wanted to catch all of the file types, there is an option where you could do like wild or star dot star. This is going to inventory all of the files, but I'm not going to do that because I think this is going to cause like your database to just have a lot of information in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel that. That is an option you have available. So I just want to inventory these file types. I'll select OK here. Our collect files option, I'm not going to change. So I'll leave that as it is. Software metering. So here, this is going to be how client computers retrieve data about the software that they use. And so basically, it monitors the usage of apps on client computers. So here we have it set to yes. I'm just going to change the schedule on that. I'll do this to every 2 hours. Select OK. All right, so our software updates here. I'm not going to really change anything other than the schedule for this. So I'll do software updates, scan schedule, and the schedule deployment reevaluation. So I'm going to change these both to every hour. Let's see, schedule, 1 hour, select OK. But I'm good to go with our custom device settings, so I'll select OK here. And then also, so we have our custom settings test created. And then you'll notice here that we have this priority set to 1. And so the thing that you do want to take note of is, or a thing to know, I guess, is that the lowest priority of these client settings is what takes precedence over any of the other settings you have configured. And so for example here, the lowest priority is 1. So that our custom settings test is what's going to take priority over our default client settings, since that's the only other one that we have, and its priority is definitely higher. So if you were to add any other settings in here, depending on how you deploy them out, just that's something like to remember. Lowest priority takes precedence, or takes priority. Yeah, lowest number takes priority. And then here, so if you wanted to, if you had like several other settings, you can increase the priority or decrease the priority of that, depending on how you want to set it. And then now, so we do have our custom settings created. We now have to actually deploy this out. We don't, like, if we were just to have your default client settings, I believe this one, you don't have to deploy out. But for custom settings, you do have to deploy them to like a specific collection. I don't have a collection created yet, so I can go ahead. Let's see. I mean, I'm not sure what happens if I actually do this all desktop and server clients. I can do it to all my systems, at least the ones that get that client pushed out to it, because it's like the unknown computers. So let's see. I'll try this out for all desktop and server clients. I'll go ahead and just do that for now. So I'll select OK here. And then, so these are the custom settings that are going to be deployed out to that group. And now we have our settings configured, so we can go ahead and actually deploy our client out to the machines that we want to manage with ConfigMgr. And so there's actually an article. There's an article or Microsoft Docs that list out the different ways that you can actually install the client. So there are 6 different ways that you can do this. I'm going to actually do the client push installation method. And so here, another article that's good to view is this how to deploy clients to Windows computers in ConfigMgr or Configuration Manager. So this actually kind of walks you through how to do that. For the client push installation, there's 3 main ways that you can use this client push. So I'll kind of try to go over that in the video here. But again, good articles to view just to get a better understanding of the different ways that you can do this. I kind of actually want to try to do this group policy installation method. Just I think it would be cool to test that out. But again, for the video, I'm going to go ahead and do this client push installation method. But I'll link these out in the description as well, so you can view and read, if you were interested in finding out more. So back on our SCCM server here, I'm going to go ahead and actually jump to our site configuration, our site. I'm going to right click that here, and then I'll go to our client installation settings and client push installation. So here we can actually do like the automatic client push installation. So we can enable automatic site-wide client push installation. So this is going to install that ConfigMgr client on newly discovered computers, resources, as well as on existing computer resources that do not have the client installed. And so this is going to install it on all of those machines that were discovered automatically. We can also choose the system types. So we'll install the Configuration Manager client on the following computers. We can do servers, workstations. I'm going to go ahead and I'll enable this Configuration Manager site system servers. Again, this is testing lab, so just seeing what happens when I do that. And then this option here, so you can specify whether you want to install the ConfigMgr client on domain controllers when you use the site-wide client push installation and the client push installation wizard. And so here I kind of was reading different things, looking at different resources, and I kind of saw on like a couple where you can choose to always install the Configuration Manager client on the domain controller. Then I kind of saw some on other resources where you kind of don't want to have the clients installed on your domain controller. So I don't know, I wasn't really sure what the best way to do it was. I think again, for like the testing lab, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave this to never install the Configuration Manager client on domain controllers unless specified in the client push installation wizard. If I wanted to do this always install, I mean, again, like my testing lab, it's totally fine because this is the testing lab. Like the whole purpose of this is to try stuff out and see what happens. And so, if you were to check this box, like the worst thing that happens is that it doesn't work. And then like you'll learn from it. So, I mean, I think one of the best things about doing like a testing lab or creating this lab to try stuff out is that you do have that like opportunity to fail often. And really, when you make a mistake, you tend to learn from it more than when things work out perfectly well and smooth. So, again, like this testing environment, at least for me, is a great place to kind of try stuff out, do testing. I kind of, want things to break because that way I can try to fix them. And there's no fear of failure in this environment. It's like this is a perfect place to fail and fail often and learn from those mistakes. And kind of like, again, like when you're learning new things, it's a great thing to be able to kind of just test stuff out, make a mistake, learn from that mistake, move forward, try another thing, and then you kind of build on that. And so anyways, that's a long rant, but basically here in this testing environment, I'm going to leave this to never install, but if you wanted to try this out, definitely try it out and see what that does or what that looks like. So yeah, anyways, next thing we'll take a look at is our accounts. So here under accounts, you'll have to specify an account that you want to install the ConfigMgr client on. So this account does need to be a member of the local administrators group on the destination computer. And you might, if you were following along with the series, there's a video where I actually created a group policy to make the members of my, I think it was like Pleon local admins group, local admins of the machine, like the client machines. And so again, like that was something that I already did before. If you didn't do that already, you kind of might want to actually get that set up, get that group policy, again, to make the members of that group local admins on the machine to get this client installed automatically. So I'll link that out in the description as well if you haven't already done it. If you have done it already, then awesome, you're good to go. And so I had in that group my administrators and my SCCM admin users. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll click this star icon, do new account. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll do the SCCM admin. Select OK. I'm just going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3. And then another thing, like I was mentioning, you do this lab is a great place to kind of, try things out, break stuff, fix it, fail, and learn from those mistakes. And also, like, if I do something in the video where I'm totally like wrong or, making a mistake, call it out, like send me a comment or post a comment and let me know, like, hey, that's wrong. Because then that way, at least I also know. Because, if nobody says anything, then I'm going to be thinking that this is good, and then I won't learn from that mistake. So anyways, just pointing that out as well. Like I'm also still learning all of these things, and it's really fun. So again, like, yeah, if you notice that I'm making a mistake or not just like explaining something right, or I completely missed something, let me know, and that way at least I'll know, and then moving forward I'll learn from that and go from there. But anyways, yeah. Gonna go ahead, let's see, next thing here are installation properties. I'm not gonna change anything there, so I'm gonna hit apply here and click OK. And now so that is actually supposed to do it automatically. So we have that the settings set to do this automatically, or to push out our client automatically to the machines that were discovered. But when I was testing this out, it kind of took a while to do that automatically without me actually installing the client. So kind of just to show you like that client push installation wizard. So if we go to our devices here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll start with our test PC. So I'm gonna right click this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click install client. So this is gonna open that in configuration manager client wizard. So I'll click next here. So here, these are the things that you need to have like already configured in order for this to actually work. So, it has that that installation account as member of the local admins group. Site server can resolve the computer name for the client and access the admin $ share, your Windows Defender firewall rule. So there's also, when I was setting up the lab, I set up the inbound and outbound firewall rules. I think it was the WMI and the file and print sharing rules. So also would want to, if you hadn't already done that before, you want to make sure you get that set up so you can actually push out the client using this method. Let's see. Management point is operational. So you just want to make sure that all of these are done before you can actually push this out to your client using this client push installation method. I'll click next here. I'm not going to change anything here. Next, and all right. So I'm going to close that. And now, let's see, we'll jump over to our TESTPC. And we might need to give this a couple of minutes to actually load, but we'll see what that looks like. All right, so here we are on our Windows 10 machine, or the test PC. And so we pushed out the client using that install client, like the wizard. And so here I went to my C drive, Windows, and now we'll see we have this a CCM setup folder. So this was done at 11:04 to 11:05. But if we open that up here, I'm gonna give this actually another minute to finish loading. All right, so I gave that some time to run. And now, so we have our CCM folder, CCM cache, CCM setup. So if we take a look at the CCM folder here, we can see, let's see, I actually wanna go ahead and get the cmtrace application. So we can view any logs with cmtrace. So, if you wanted to install that, it's in that C Windows CCM folder. So I'll click yes here. And I think it's actually, we go back here, CCM setup. We can look at our logs. So we'll take a look at the CCM setup log, open this with cmtrace. And so here, I think what I was looking at the docs, this would be where you can see that it's actually installed. Again, I'm not the best at reading logs. Still kind of trying to get a hold of all of that, but I think I saw on the docs that this is one that you want to view to see the status of that, installation of the client installation on the machine. But anyway, so here we have, it looks like we do have that client installed. Another way that we can actually check this, so if we go over to our control panel, see our control panel here, and I'm going to go ahead and actually select small icons. You'll see here we have this configuration manager setting. And so this is going to open the configuration manager properties. So here you can view the client properties. So this is assigned to the management point sccm.plan.com, has that self-signed client certificate, co-managed is disabled. Our site code is right here, the unique identifier, so the GUID. Also, so here, let's see, under actions. So this would be where you can, like if you wanted to accelerate the different actions you have available, you can do that here. So like if you wanted to get that machine policy retrieval and evaluation cycle, you can choose to run that now, or like also the software updates, scan cycle. So like when you're testing stuff out, and instead of wanting to wait for like the evaluation schedule that you had set in your client settings, you can come here to configuration manager properties, interactions, and choose to run these now and get that policy to your client machine, right away, rather than having again to wait for the schedule times you had set. So let's see. All right, so another thing we could check is our task manager. So let's see, go to task manager. And so if we go under services, we should see CcmExec. So we have that SMS agent host that's always running. So that's another way to check that. Let's see. You can also, let's see if we got Software Center. So we got Software Center. I wonder if it didn't pick up my custom client settings. That's what I wasn't sure of. But go ahead and open Software Center. So it didn't actually get my custom client settings. So that's my mistake. And that's because I did that custom client setting and I deployed it out to that all systems, and I forgot what it was, like servers, and that there was no machines in that collection. And so actually what I can do here is, let's go back into our SCCM server. And I want to test something out to see if this works. So let's go ahead, we'll go to our where are we going? Administration. We'll go to our client settings. And so here in our default client settings, again, so here, I didn't change these originally because I wanted to show you those custom client settings. But what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I'm going to set our device settings to yes for our default, do customize, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did at my custom settings. But this time I'm actually going to have them apply. So I'm going to go ahead and select our logo. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to select this, click OK. So I'm going to click OK here. And then I'm going to actually, let's see, I'll jump back into our Windows 10 machine and jumping back into these, let's go back to control panel, these configuration manager properties. So I'll click action here and I'm just going to do the machine policy retrieval and evaluation cycle. So I'm going to run that now. Let's see if we can actually get that policy to show up with the new settings for our software center. So I want to actually show you what it looks like with the way that I set it. So let's see. I'm going to give that a minute to actually run. All right, so I started again, and so it did actually get that policy that I changed in our default client settings. So that's kind of another thing that I was mentioning here. So, I tried that out and it didn't work out, but because this is a testing environment, that's totally okay. You can test stuff out, see how it works. If it doesn't work out, then try something different and see how that works out too. So kind of a good way also to show you these configuration manager like properties and the actions and how you can again get that policy to come in right away if you wanted to make a quick change to see what that looks like during like your testing phase or in the testing environment. So anyway, so now we have our software center. We have it configured to the way that I set it up. So we have that banner, have purple here. And so once we actually start like packaging applications and deploying them out, we'll see what this looks like. That's actually pretty interesting as well. Then our updates as well, like if we make them available, we can view them here. So again, kind of cool to show you what this looks like. So anyways, so I'll exit out of here. Anyway, so that was pretty much all that I wanted to show. Let's see, maybe jump back into our SCCM server. So go to software library, assets and compliance actually. Under devices, we should have this set to, okay, cool. So we have this set to yes now. From like I did this with the install client option, but because we also did that automatic like client push, I went ahead and pushed it out to the other machines in our lab. So we have it on the DHCP server as well as the SCCM server, which is this machine that we're on right now. And then it didn't do that domain controller server because if you remember on the settings that we configured, we didn't have it to automatically install on the domain controller. So if I did want to install this, I would actually have to go ahead and right click this and click install client. Anyway, so it looks like we have the client installed on the machines here in our lab. So we can manage these devices now with ConfigMgr. We also can see who that currently logged on user is. So that's me right here. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. What I wanted to show you guys in the video. I think it probably ran longer than I wanted it to. Also, sorry for taking so long to actually post the video. It's been busy and a lot of stuff going on. And also I kind of really wanted to get a better understanding of these client settings. I don't know. I think I was also just second guessing myself a lot as like, what am I gonna post? How's this video gonna turn out? So there was just a lot of different things going on, with my life. So I didn't, make enough time to actually make a video for this. So that's my bad. But anyways, I'm gonna try to learn some more things so I can share it with you all, because essentially like my goal with this channel is to to share what I've learned. And, so that does take time as far as like learning new things, testing them out, feeling like I know enough to actually share it with you all so that it's actually helpful for you in your journey. Because again, like if you're like me, starting out and you're wanting to learn about, how to use SCCM, different parts of this, how to even just make your own lab to test different stuff out. Hopefully this is helpful to you wherever you are in your journey, or, if you're starting out, if you're learning something new, I don't know. But anyways, gonna try to keep learning new things so I can share it with you all on this channel. If you have any suggestions for things that you want me to make videos on, feel free to let me know. I think I've gotten a couple in the comments from other videos, which is really great. So yeah, go ahead and let me know if there's anything you wanted to maybe have me show you, or wanted to learn yourself, and maybe I could learn it as well and share it with you all in this in a video. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.